Hello everyone, welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. It is Francesco here, and in today's video we're taking a look at Evernote's latest blog post, and it is written by their CEO, Ian Small. It's going to be talking through some of the delays to features, also some of their progress they've been making in the year, some of their feature plans, and also giving you a bit of an idea of how they are generally as a company. Now I'm going to be reading this through, so it might be a little bit of a longer video, but also sharing my opinions throughout this, almost reviewing it to give you guys hopefully a better idea, but also giving you some sort of, I guess as an Evernote user, some real opinions on the sort of layout. So without further ado guys, let's roll into today's video. So, as you can imagine, Evernote tend to do this every couple of months. This one is by Ian Small, and it's titled the 2020 Update, Our Progress and the Road Ahead. And it was actually released yesterday, which was something I couldn't get to as fast as I normally do because Notion released a brand new search. So I was like, right, I need to make sure that goes out. So at the same time, Evernote loves to release. They actually probably didn't. Tuesday's a really popular day, I think, for productivity software or Mondays to update. Last week it was Todoist's year in review. Like Tuesdays is a good day, so I don't blame them. Just at least I don't expect them too fast, these updates. So let's start reading this article. It's January. A new year has begun, so it's an appropriate time for an update on where we stand in our efforts to bring you a better Evernote. 1 year ago, in my early days as Evernote CEO, I said that to move Evernote forward, we had to start by improving its foundations. I set 3 goals in our priorities for 2019. So the first of their goals was they want to be more coherent, more consistent Evernote experience, which means that they wanted to fix essential features, on which all of us depend on. The second was that they wanted to change the way they develop and deliver software so we can ship improvements and new features faster with better quality. And we commit to improving the core infrastructure that powers Evernote so we can deliver with the reliability, speed, and scalability that they expect, or the users expect like us. Now, I think, in my opinion, those 2019 goals were actually a really good decision by Ian. The main reason for that is because Evernote needed just an internalization improvement. Like everything that was there just needed to be improved. And I feel like that they did that with a lot of things. They'll touch on a few of the features they actually did, and I'll give you a sort of tour around some of the things that I liked about the speed and the improvements. But I think the general thesis, and this might lead on to this section, is that people aren't happy with the development pipeline in terms of what's coming out for us. So Ian states, I'm pleased to say that we've made substantial progress against these goals, even beyond the progress we've shared over the course of the last year. I'll get to that in a minute. So he starts this, which I think is really good. But first, it's important to be bluntly honest about where we stand. As we enter 2020, we've not yet achieved everything we set out to accomplish a year ago. We have yet to reach some major milestones in delivering against the 3 goals. We're not where any of us, the Evernote team, our customers, community, partners, wanted Evernote to be at this point. The most visible hole in our delivery plan is our failure to ship new mobile and desktop applications in general release. My best estimate is that we're running 3 to 4 months behind our plans, and it's certainly not for any lack of trying or lack of focus, but some hills turn out to be harder to climb than you think when you set off for a trek, and we've had to do a lot of climbing so far on our journey. So I think, first off, I think that this part of it is actually really good because it sort of states like something that's pretty obvious, like people obviously aren't happy with Evernote's development plan, and he's being brutally honest and just saying, it's obvious you guys aren't, caught up to speed on it. But what I think is interesting about this one is it's actually giving you, this second paragraph is actually giving you like a specific time schedule, how far Evernote behind are on their release schedules. So, for example, in what he alludes to next is the behind the scenes series, which I think is a great series for Evernote. What a brilliant way to show the community inside of what's happening. But it almost like let me read this statement and then give you my thoughts on that specifically. The result is that many of the improvements we've demonstrated in our behind the scenes aren't yet out for you to enjoy, and that's disappointing for you and it's disappointing for us. We'll continue to work harder to bring these improvements to market so we can enjoy a better Evernote and start innovating quickly upon that improved foundation. So what he's saying here, and what is cool about the behind the scenes series, is you get to see the features, but you're sort of also aware now, based on his estimates, that they're running 3 to 4 months behind. So naturally, you are literally everything you see in that behind the scenes series, and they state the release date that was previous to maybe their most recent features, because they might be a bit more like sort of aware of that 3 to 4 months delay time. Is going to be needing to add another 4 months on it, just because that's what it's more realistically going to be released on. So, for example, features that you heard maybe released like this March will probably be released in June. My maths is awful. June, August, June, July time. So just take that into account when you're looking there. But again, at the same time, I feel like that's a really good sort of update, because at least you're like, okay, I shouldn't really expect too much of them. If that makes sense. But here we go. But the past year has not been without significant accomplishments. Let me recap a few highlights of 2019. So I think they state 3 things here. Is the new note editor, and this is it says the methodical process we follow to beta test, gathering feedback, and this first release of the new editor is just to the start. We plan to continue to improve this in the months ahead, and that's probably my biggest, nicest thing of last year. If you look at the latest Evernote editor on the web, it is speedy and fast, and what I really like about it is, so for example, if I go back to the classic editor, so if I say okay, let's go to this. Yeah, so this is the old editor, and this is the new editor. So you can see that the bar at the top has upgraded, but I've noticed a dramatic speed improvement in the application since actually using it, and the web version of it is one of those applications you can be pretty happy with. It opens up PDFs really nicely like it does on Mac and things like that. So yes, I do agree that update was really attractive. They've also said that the new search experience, which can be made available through the web application, is a lot better. And obviously they're looking to improve that. So if you go to search here, you can see that obviously everything comes up. So if I wanted to search New Zealand, I'm not sure why, you can actually get notes pre-selected for you. But if you had actually had, for example, people inside your Evernote, you can search per person. And for example, if you had people inside the Evernote search, you could search per person, per tag, per notebook, and really drill that down further. That was an awful demonstration of how that works. And of course, again, praise has to be said about the behind the scenes series. There's no doubt about that. Now it says, and from a business standpoint, Evernote continued to grow, which is good. Because obviously, as a company update, you get to hear that they've grown, which is good. And we ended 2019 with more subscribers than we entered it. That's good news, because it means that they haven't dipped, even based on all of the Notion experiences. Generating positive cash flow for this year, which is really good. And he also states a healthy balance sheet may not at first sound like a highlight, but a financially sound Evernote is a company you can depend on to serve you for a long time. So that is really good news. And it's sort of, I feel like that was a sort of callback to the Phil Limon days when he said this is going to be a 100-year company. And naturally that's good news. Like a company standpoint, that's really good news. And some companies don't even share that sort of information. So it's really good. And I don't believe Evernote's a public company. It was at one point looking to go public, but definitely not at this point. It says, if you've been following along all year, nothing I've said is news. So let me turn you to some recent accomplishments we haven't talked much about. a re-engineered modern web experience, the first preview release of our rebuilt mobile clients, and a successful data migration to the cloud. So, according to this, apparently in December they released a completely re-engineered version of our modern web experience to a small group of customers, and as planned, they didn't notice. So that's good. They basically say in it, on the outside, this is a version and is almost indistinguishable from what many of us already use on a day-to-day basis, but on the inside, its code base has been substantially renovated on top of a new code library that governs communication between client and cloud. More on this later. This is a major deliverable against the second goal I set for Evernote at the beginning of our 2019. Our objective was this initiative was to swap out some old rusty underpinnings for a gleamy new undercarriage without anyone noticing, and so far so good. And we continue to release in coming months until 100% of web customers are on the new improved client infrastructure. So that's behind the scenes. It's almost like guttering out the foundations to some extent and improving them. And I think that's really good that they've been doing that and actually have done that without many people noticing. I'm sure there's probably a few engineers that have gone, wow, but haven't even, some sort of everyday user like me probably doesn't notice. And then again in December, they released the first version of their completely rebuilt iOS and Android apps to a small pool of beta testers. So these applications have been shown in the December series of Behind the Scenes. I actually haven't seen this. Have I seen this?
Hi.
Just a second, Ian. 17th. I think I did, but let me just take a look at what it looked like. Yeah. So I saw a previous update. They slowly release these features, but I think my biggest thing I like about this is the there we go. So if I just remove subtitles, you can see there, like I really love that. That is a nice update in actually having that sort of the button there that can pop open. They used to have something like this, but I think it just got removed. But again, this is something that will be consistent across all of the Evernote platforms on iOS and Android, which is good news. So that's, again, two things that Evernote did, and they said that it wouldn't be possible based on the beta testers. They continued to improve it. As I indicated above, both the new re-engineered web release and the rebuilt mobile clients share the same code library governing communication between app and cloud. While this doesn't seem relevant to the user, aligning our codebase's internal architecture across all Evernote apps is a huge step forward. A better Evernote experience for everyone is a result in service behavior that is predictable and consistent across platforms. For example, sync should work in the same way on different devices. I agree with that. It also minimizes bugs by reducing the volume of code we need to test and simplify, and speeds our ability to find and stamp out bugs when they do occur. He says here as well, and finally, no one has noticed, and again, this is a good thing, is that in late November, 100% of Note content is now synced and served from a completely new storage system in our cloud. This is a remarkable step towards our third goal, moving more than 9 billion notes on a running service from one storage architecture to another without anyone noticing and without any downtime. It's like changing the wheels of a moving bus. I love his analogies. I give credit to him. It requires a tricky migration from, warning, geek speak ahead, legacy sharded architecture, which had for years formed the basis of Evernote's server architecture, into a scalable horizontal cloud implementation. There is yet more work to do on the front. Next up, sharing permissions, but when it's done, this process will have eliminated one of the largest roadblocks to our ability to innovate and constraint that has been hindering Evernote for years. Now, what I quite like about this is a little bit digging deeper. They've moved 100% of their Note content to the new storage cloud, which is very good because, again, I believe that will make it easier with sync on mobile applications, sync on the other applications, all working in tandem. All the the really tough engineering stuff, like over my head. I'm sure it might be with you, unless you're an engineer. And if you understood that, like, kudos to you. But at the same time, it's good news. And the reason they stated there is because once this is out the way, and it looks like it's almost done, that could open up a lot of new engineers to work on other features, not just the sort of guts of Evernote. So it looks like, the editor, and actually looking at the re-engineered web releases and the mobile applications, it's all guttering, and that can really open up some team members to work on stuff that we all want to know. So there are these more recent accomplishments are foundation building blocks for delivering on 3 main goals we set out in 2019. At the time, I asked you to be patient with us and stated we're running late. And as I stated above, we're running late. None of us are happy to enter 2020 still asking you to be patient. But the good news is we've now got ourselves and you onto the launching pad. And that's what I mean. I do believe they're sort of getting back up. The re-engineered web client in limited release, the new mobile clients, and the new clients for Windows, Mac, and yes, Linux. So that's good news. Along with the ongoing React architecture and data migration we've been doing in the cloud, will set up Evernote to be able to innovate and ship quality at a pace we haven't seen in a long time. That's good news. So once I get all that out, 3-4 months delay time, obviously, then that's going to be good. And they do stay here. And that's what excites me most. And I hope it's exciting for you all, is that the finish line to fixing the basics isn't really a finishing line at all. It's the start of a new racing line, the race towards a whole new generation of innovation and improvement in the Evernote experience. And some quiet corners of Evernote, we've already started running that race. And I'm looking forward to sharing that work with you when the time is right. Thank you for enduring the patience and support. And we continue to work hard to make you proud, to live up and keep earning your trust you place in us, and deliver an Evernote that all of us can fall in love with over again. Again, I love that statement because it's so true. You want to fall back in love with Evernote, and together we make Evernote ever better, which is a nice hashtag. So apart from getting I feel like I got a degree in big words, wow, Ian's really smart. And I'm not, because I don't know some of the words in there that I was I'm trying to find one. Is indistinguishable one? But at the same time, the big words, but also I think overall my thoughts are that it's a really good piece. I do think that Evernote is in the right direction. I think they spent 2019 repairing, and I called it repairing. I think this year is gearing, almost repair was fixing, regearing is almost getting consistent, getting consistent and in the right direction. But then I think the year after that is hopefully they actually opened up to do some features that can really exciting. But at the same time, there's some bad news in here that they're running 3 to 4 months late. But again, I think that the behind the scenes series should give you enough of a window to understand that they are working on things, which is good news. And of course, I always like to see that they're working on the consistency of it. So that's good news. So guys, if you want me available for audiobooks, because that was a pretty long one. I just literally read an article to you. But at the same time, I hopefully gave you a better Evernote update. We had a big Notion news yesterday, Evernote news, with this, and I hopefully continue to cover this even when the baby arrives, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's feature. If you did, you can hit the like button, because that will help share it around the YouTube network. You can also subscribe if you're new, but comment with your opinions, because Evernote users out there, did you get convinced by this bit of news? I certainly did, because I don't know, I read it in and I've met Ian before on call, and he's a really a nice chap. And I think he's probably had a big year sort of trying to re-fix all the sort of basic stuff and now working on this. So I feel like he's a very genuine person, which is good news. But at the same time, I would love to hear your opinions. Does this waver you? Are you just going to stay strong, or is it sort of tempting you to move away? please do let me know in the comments below. But guys, thank you so much. Hopefully you watched all this video. But a big thank you, and I look forward to talking to you very, very soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye.